So we've gone through the mail. We have a year's worth of mail. And the only thing to discuss is the fact that the Board of Selectmen have decided to do a special town meeting on Monday, November the 8th. And I don't know at this moment in time if there are any capital planning items that are going to be brought to the table at that meeting.
To the best of my knowledge, based on Peg Stone, she thought they were gonna do, recreation was going to do something about the basketball courts. And they wanted to get it all ready to go next spring. My only issue is usually when you get bids, they're only good for like 30 or 60 days.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm not against the project. I tried to get them to fix that for the bicentennial.
So wasn't that an issue that was brought up by the school district last year that we approved $10,000 or $15,000? Not last year. 2 years ago,
That's
pre-COVID, right?
Yeah, but that was for the basketball court at the school, you know, where we have the annual town meeting outside.
Yeah.
That's the basketball court for the school. This is the town basketball court
By the pond.
by the pond.
Oh, I thought that was the school basketball course.
No.
Okay.
They have their own.
Oh. Ours aren't good enough?
They didn't want the little kids playing around the water.
Okay, fair. We're so close to the street. Yeah.
Just is.
Okay. Julie from Recreation Committee has reached out to me a couple of times and had been hoping to be able to attend this meeting or have me attend last night's meeting. And unfortunately, neither one of us could do either. So they're putting, as you said, they're putting together a proposal. She was hoping to get it to me today before our meeting so we could discuss their proposal.
And that's because next Wednesday is a community preservation meeting.
I know she said they're struggling with sources of funding, but I don't know what they're trying to fund. Are they looking for 15 grand or are they looking for 150 grand?
I do not know.
And I don't know either. So I'm not
did
sure.
see them right before they had their meeting last night, and Beth said she was under the impression that they wanted to basically start from ground zero. It was done in the 60s. You know, so nobody knew what the base was.
Yeah.
Al Roseberry was involved with it back then. And he said, you know, just a bunch of guys came and from town and they did it. But I think it's a great resource for the town.
Yeah.
We see kids out there playing either basketball or tennis.
Yeah.
I like the idea of having lights on if they're energy efficient.
And on a timer. I'd hate to be a resident I don't live nearby, but I'd hate to be a resident who lived nearby and have bright lights at I don't know, at off times. But
well, then you can ask them to put on a shield that goes around the light.
Oh, so it just goes down.
That's what we had put on the street lights so that it just wasn't blasting all over. And actually for the street lights, they go, when they turn on till like 11, they're at 100%. But then from 11 to like 5 a.m., they're at 50%.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that was possible.
I mean, they can always go up to a higher thing, particularly if the police needed it, but.
That's pretty cool. As far as funding for that project, I don't know where other than they're looking at the community preservation funds that are already earmarked for recreation.
Well, conservation / recreation.
Oh, I didn't realize those were those were
Yeah,
the
they are
same.
grouped together.
Oh, that's gonna be tricky for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad
We'll
we're.
have fireworks.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well,
They have to fill one of these or no?
so they should fill out one of those once they have their bid in and once they have their proposed sources of funding or ideas for proposed sources of funding.
Do they
Um,
plan to strip the court and start all over again?
That might be one bid. As opposed to, if that's astronomical, then they might have to,
yeah,
That's very surface.
do part two.
yeah. It certainly would be interesting to hear from them what they're,
Yeah.
What they're
That's
proposing.
all I know. I
Yeah.
haven't seen the specs.
yeah, me neither. So wait, this special town meeting. Do you remember Eloise? Oh, here, oh no, it says the warrant closes on September 27th, so just next week.
Mhm.
So if they're hoping to get on the warrant.
Yeah, they'd
um,
have to have it done by then. My statement was, most of the bids I see, they're only good for 30 or 60
Right,
days.
Right,
So if it's only good for 30 or 60 days, then maybe you should have a special come February. That way you can get it done between March and April.
if they were part of the regular town meeting in May and they got their funding, then they wouldn't be able to start construction until after July 1st, correct?
Yes, unless they use the community preservation money they have now. Just like last year, the first 4 or 5 articles
Mhm.
were for the current year. And then for the next year, we had to delineate it, so. Because then when we get back, James usually puts together the recapitulation sheet. We have to write down, and there's like 7 or 8 broad categories. What is spent for tax and spend, free cash, debt. Every penny that is spent at town meeting, we have to account for it.
Mhm.
I do the proceedings, he does the recap.
Sounds fair.
It's lengthy,
Yeah.
but thankfully, June is very helpful and I'm grateful,
Mhm.
so.
So it might make more sense for them to for recreation to have this as a May issue, if they're gonna hopefully build over
If
the
they're gonna
summer.
talk about a special, then do it in late winter.
Mhm.
But if they can get the bids to go to extend, for 4 to 6 months, go for it.
Yeah,
But I believe, I used to be told that the asphalt plants close November 1.
Yeah.
well, the asphalt has to be super hot, yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
Well, it gets
with your
too cold
meeting
after
on
that, yeah.
November 8th, it won't make it into this calendar.
yeah, yeah.
Versus I love the driveway. It looks beautiful.
It does look beautiful, but did the islands move?
No.
No, that's what I thought was supposed to happen, right?
Yes, but we had a change of,
Leadership?
yes.
Yes.
And I'm glad they left it alone because it's grandfathered, because it had to be designed and everything.
Mm-hmm,
I just think it makes sense.
mm-hmm.
Change the wattage if it's a problem, but I think it helps direct traffic.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that.
Is
But-
there any talk about changing heating system in the new building?
The highway one,
Highway bond, yes, yeah.
to the best of my knowledge, they keep talking about putting solar on it. Initially, it was supposed, it was supposed to be
So,
net zero.
Mhm.
And that's great, except the program evaporated and they did the next best thing, but that's still a dream.
Mhm. My understanding is the building's not built structurally at this moment in time to support solar panels.
putting heating system in, it wouldn't cost too much. I don't know, if you put it in the house, it's maybe $20,000, so
Heating system for the,
for the Taj Mahal, they call it, yeah. The
Well,
barn,
the whole building isn't heated.
I know, it's all electric, right now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But they've talked about putting an electric canopy on it. And then there's a possibility of you could put like a canopy over the top of it, so
Mhm.
it's not on the roof, but it uses that space.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I guess her name is Beth Greenblatt. She's supposed to be doing something.
Okay.
She met with the board once, but it was the one time I couldn't attend the meeting. Of course,
You missed a meeting, Eloise?
infrequently.
Oh, jeez. I'm so ashamed.
Huh?
I said I'm so ashamed. Can't believe it.
Another question from me.
Hmm.
We never talk about school department.
Correct.
budgets and Stuff for that.
Yeah.
Why is that?
We don't have that option. So the regional school district presents us with a list of their capital requests and we pay that bill. We don't,
Who approves that?
The school committee.
the school, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
And then they present it to the selectmen and the finance committee. If they wish to challenge it, then they can.
Yeah.
There is talk about if at the point we put a new roof on the school, maybe that would be the time that you would put energy on it.
Yeah. I would
But
not,
I know when we checked it out, before it became a regional school, it's like here, the roof was too old, so
Mhm.
we couldn't do that.
mhm.
what's going on with this roof here?
I have no idea.
Okay, because we
Yeah,
approve those.
Yeah, we talk
funds,
about
right?
that.
That and the air handler,
Yeah,
they need to be done in conjunction
Yeah.
with one another.
yeah,
That's the last I
okay.
heard.
Who, is that highway?
That would be, well, Dave Smith
Yeah,
left.
yeah.
I asked him about it. He goes, it ain't me. And so it would be David Smith as well as Margaret. I
Mhm.
mean, she has the overall control.
Yeah,
So money was approved for that already. right?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just sitting in a fund waiting to be,
Yeah, and winter is coming, so it's not gonna be a good time.
no, probably not, unless it's something that can be done quickly.
Push for next year.
Yeah. Yeah, so as far as we're concerned for this next meeting, for the next special town meeting, it's
Yeah.
just the recreation committee.
That's all I have been
That's all I've
aware
heard.
of.
Yeah,
Okay.
Um,
Really not that much. though.
no,
And don't have
And
to
you know,
have
the
it
police
without a-
chief's leaving,
Who?
no, I did not know that Tom is
the
leaving.
police chief,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
When,
he's going to Sherburne.
oh, well,
And he loves the idea of working with the Middlesex district attorney.
versus the Worcester district attorney?
This
That
is
was
Bush-
the implication.
This is Worcester. Yeah, we're in Worcester
Sherburne is
County.
Middlesex, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
are
he-
we searching for a new police chief?
I think Margaret was gonna do that when she got back. So the flip side is they can make, one of the sergeants,
Hmm,
Yeah, like Eric, yeah, everybody's rooting for Eric. Yeah, he's a sergeant that.
make them an interim and give
Yeah.
them
yeah, the
You know.
opportunity.
6 months.
I don't know who, I don't know if I should say this while it's being recorded. There's
I'll
one,
write it down.
there's one of the officers who's been here longer than Troy and I have been here, and Troy calls him Captain Chaos. in a very affectionate term, but he's been here forever. And I don't know who he actually is.
Eric's probably, he and Goody came in
Goody, yeah.
similar.
Hmm.
Of course, I was already here.
Yeah, of course you are.
Uh,
Yeah, I think
Uh,
Eric and Goody,
No,
Good luck.
Goody,
No.
yeah, they're best buds. I believe it's, the other sergeant is Gilchrist.
yes, that's another one, yeah.
Okay.
So that's
But I
all.
heard that Gilchrist wasn't interested, but.
That might be,
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
if that's the case, then make
Yeah.
the other one an interim.
Yeah.
Similar to the highway, you can do an interim. We're not that large.
Right. 4 people.
Yeah. Do we have an idea when Dave is leaving? Not Dave,
David
Galvin,
left,
Tom.
like
Tom,
Tom,
Yeah.
I thought it was,
I don't know, end of October, I believe.
I think
I
so.
think
Okay.
he said he's gonna give 6 or 8 weeks notice, 2 months notice, something like that.
Hmm.
But if things get resolved sooner,
Yeah, and he'll leave sooner. Okay. So our 2 major departments that submit requests to Capital Planning Committee are looking for leadership.
yeah.
Okay. So maybe we won't get large amounts of, I bet we get fire.
Yeah.
I bet fire asks for things.
I think that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard of, the needs of anybody else.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, fire department is getting new ambulance, right? Next
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, from this year, right,
Right. So,
or
next year.
next year.
Does anybody have, I was told at one time there was like a 25-year plan. And while we only put a 5-year plan in the town report, I would like to see, because
Yes, long
like
range,
highway trucks, ambulances, they last longer than we have in our little,
Mm-hmm,
and I would like to see a more comprehensive.
mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen something like
Mm-mm.
that?
I have never seen something like that.
I
But
know.
But it's a
Margaret
great
has
idea.
Spreadsheet for, that's for 5 years, you're right.
Yeah, yeah, what
not-
John, the other John put
I
together.
know Dennis used to keep one when we were an unofficial committee. And it's just, I'd like to see it, taped up on a wall so
Well-
anybody can,
Right,
Fire did a great job last year with with his projections.
the police chief has always done a good job.
Yes, yeah,
My only criticism for fire is he markedly does 1 year at a time.
Mm.
But see, the way I've looked at, I am a nerd. And the way I see it on other websites is it has to be on the capital plan for 4 or 5 years before you vote on it.
Hmm,
Oh,
So that way it's no surprise to the
Right.
town.
right.
You've updated it every year. It's just routine.
So maybe we could add that to our mission for this year, is to try to get departments to
get
nail
this available,
down
yeah.
a
Absolutely.
25-year plan, because it shouldn't be hard. Like, we know an ambulance lasts 10 years. So if we buy an ambulance this year, we should be able to say 10 years from now,
Put it on for 10 years.
Then
so
it's-
not
yeah,
a big
and
surprise.
so it should be a fairly simple to put together spreadsheet for the departments.
You can plan your expenses, yeah.
Yeah, because I agree, we should be looking further down the road. And it is,
Well, the advantage, they say, is if you find, you've got an ambulance, you've got too much on 1 year, then you can spread it out either
Yeah.
the year before or the year after, depending on the condition of the vehicles.
Or tell people you cannot have what you want. No,
Well,
but that's hard, I know.
That's part of it.
Yeah,
it is every year.
What amuses me in a sad way is when we've had so many changes of fire, every chief comes in with their own plan.
Mhm.
And what was imperative we do for one, the next one.
I think for us, I think that's where our role is pretty important, where we're here, year after year after year, and we can go, well, last year, the old fire chief thought that, the protective equipment for the guys was pretty important.
Yeah,
And this
well-
year you think,
Well, the
so,
thing that, if they're ever gonna put on a second floor
Yeah.
over the
Mhm.
fire,
Mhm,
I would prefer to do that before I put on a new roof.
mhm.
Yes. A lot of people are against that, and people that I talk to, the old guys like myself, they said, why do we need a small town? This is gonna end up in a full-time fire department, which is,
It would
Yeah.
be, for me, very interesting to hear from fire,
I believe
Um,
that, aren't they supposed to be doing a fire report?
what do you mean by fire report? Because they're supposed to be doing the advanced life support.
Well, that's.
Report.
Yeah,
But yeah, it would be interesting to hear from fire what their activity level is. And now that the apartments are all full, right?
yeah.
So I know that was a big question, how much they're gonna be going there. So if they can estimate
see,
that.
Riverbridge came in after the 2020 census,
Mhm,
because the 2020 census is, where were you on April 1 of 2020? They didn't have building permits till August.
yeah,
So they're not, so they won't be counted really for another 10 years.
right.
And I won't be here.
Aw,
Just saying.
yeah.
Well, probably me neither. That sucks.
Uh,
Anyway,
But it would be interesting to hear because, for me, I started in this committee and we bought the fire department a new ambulance. That was the first thing we did my first year. And that was to replace the ambulance we had. And they chose not to trade in the ambulance they were
That's
supposed to
why
trade
You
in.
have to word the warrant article. They are duty bound to follow the warrant article.
Mhm. Yeah. So now we know that,
And notify the selectmen when it's disposed of or
right?
something.
so,
But I still have issues with the fact that next year, in this upcoming year, we're buying an replacement ambulance for the ambulance that we replaced 5 or 6 years ago.
right.
But instead of replacing it, they just now we have 2 ambulances. And are we really a town that needs 2? Have we
Uh,
gone from that in the last 5 years, from needing 1 to now needing 2?
But as a town clerk,
Mm-hmm.
our population is very old.
Yes.
And the fact that you're now getting the over 55 on
Mhm.
Highland Street.
It's gonna be even older.
Right.
You are. You have to worry about not bringing in young families.
The fact that we aren't bringing in young families, or the fact that, yeah.
A lot of the people who buy these multi-million-dollar houses and stuff, this is maybe their third home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a lot of starter homes, I think, in Berlin, but they don't go anywhere. There's not a lot of turnover in those.
Oh, because it's the cheapest place we can live.
I love my little starter home. We haven't left it.
Yeah, but you're not contributing to the school system either.
Which is very true.
Currently, I do have a first grader.
You do?
My great granddaughter goes.
Oh, good.
I just had a shower installed downstairs so I can bring my daughter back.
Mm.
Well, before, she'd have to go over the stairs. She can't go over the stairs. So this way, she can wash and take care of herself. I did it once when she was little,
Mm.
not doing it again.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
And So I'm trying to get my house ready so that they can move in. I might live up here permanently, but that's the plan.
Oh, very multi-generational.
Well, I don't like to drive in the winter
Mm.
anymore, and my daughter has, a lot of her doctor's appointments are in Worcester.
Mm-hmm.
So I figure if her daughter brings her to the doctor's appointment, I can meet the school bus.
Mm-hmm.
I can prepare supper,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And this is what we gotta do.
Yeah.
So if I can get, the spreadsheet that we had a long time ago, and I'll bring it up to date, and I will send it around, and
Okay.
you can look at it.
Mhm.
That would be lovely. Thank you. We should plan, so when we have our, so typically, John, we have, and we did this a little last year, we have meetings with each department head, so they submit those forms to us through Margaret. And then we meet with the department heads and just discuss with them, questions. Can you lease this equipment? Can you, save it
They
one
have
more
to
year or whatever?
justify it, really.
Yeah, exactly. So we can start hounding them, I think, at that point to give us a 25-year plan. If you,
Yeah.
again, if you know this equipment lasts, how long does a new Volvo loader last? Is it 15 years or?
I have, yeah,
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I think that we can start pulling that 25-year plan together.
Yeah.
I don't, might be difficult, but not impossible. Other than that, I think that's it for me.
Yeah. Good. I like this face-to-face meetings. Just in space with you.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure I know what to do with that.
We're gonna continue having,
We can, if you guys want to. I don't have any objection to it. It's now it's legal.
I like face-to-face, but if you wanna go back to it. Depends how this COVID keeps going.
I
Yeah.
don't know, in the bad weather, I don't mind staying home.
Yeah,
That's fine.
yeah. And I travel a lot in the winter,
Oh, you do?
so I do. A percentage of my clientele moves to Florida in the winter.
Florida?
Florida, yep. So I go back and forth.
And
So-
they bring their animals with them?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Really?
yes. It's a huge competition circuit in Florida from about the 15th of January through the 15th of April. So yeah, I
And
go
you're
back
in the
and forth.
thick of it?
I'm in the thick of it.
Hmm.
Yeah. But unfortunately, not enough of them move to Florida for me to move to Florida. It's like 50-50, so I go back and forth. Makes for a busy winter.
You deal with horses only?
Pretty much.
And the other thing is, if sometimes in the winter, particularly if we know bad weather is coming, I have my great granddaughter staying overnight.
Yeah. yeah.
Well, she goes to bed at 7, so.
Oh, that's all.
Well, I guess I would suggest then for future meetings, we plan on meeting in here unless anybody contacts me and says, I don't want to because of whatever. I'm worried about COVID, the weather, I'm gonna be out of town, whatever. And then Margaret's already set up all of our Zoom link meetings, so we'll just keep those open like we're doing tonight so we can hear each other.
Yeah, but you
Over
just
again.
realize that they're not legal.
What do you mean they're not legal?
In order to have your agenda, you have to update your agenda each time. You're not supposed to say.
Same
new
thing,
bus-
same thing.
New business, old business.
Okay,
You should say, if it's that particular meeting with highway, the next one meeting with fire, next
Yeah.
one meeting with Godzilla.
I'm gonna put that on one meeting, just
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
just to see if anybody goes, wait, you're meeting with Godzilla? Yeah, no, I will update. As
And
necessary.
I think the Attorney General's starting to get antsy about that they're not. it's supposed to be so somebody who isn't at your meeting knows what you're talking about.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yes, and if you had paid personnel 40 hours a week, that's fine.
Mm-hmm,
But when you've all got a lot of volunteers,
mm-hmm,
it's hard.
mm-hmm.
Okay,
Any-
so when is the next meeting?
Let me look it up. I think we said October 14th. October. Okay. Next meeting is October 14th at 7 PM.
Okay,
And I will say here in this room as well as on Zoom. And I will update the agenda as items come in.
Okay.
And once I know what's,
yeah, is there anything that you are specifically interested in or? Other than like the highway barn?
Yeah,
I mean, that's something the energy committee is very into, and I am on the energy committee also.
yeah, I was, well, school committee, I know it's sort of separate. I was reading the proposal for repairs.
Mhm. I believe in our
That was
agreement,
a
we
huge-
said
Huh?
with, what was it, between 50 and 100,000 a year?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like if a roof's 200, you'd have to split it at least on the school end, one fiscal year and then the next fiscal year.
so I attended that, sorry, I'm just in our meetings. I attended that meeting at the school,
Yeah,
where the company that put together that proposal for
repairs.
for repairs, none of the repairs were desperate or in immediate. So-
The bill was $3.2 million.
Yes, but $3.2 million over the next 25 years.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So there was nothing, or there's nothing that comes to mind that needed to be done this year.
Okay.
It was just there in they had it sort of broken into categories. So needs to be done this year, needs to be done within 3 years, needs to be done within 5 years,
Oh.
10 years, and 20 years. And so the roof was in there, but it was down the road a little bit.
Oh, but-
They were actually quite complimentary about our school.
Well, I believe you get state help if your roof is 30 years old. But if your roof is 30 years old, chances are it's leaking like a sieve.
I know.
I think our roof was something like 27 years old.
Oh, really?
So it was,
No,
no, it was close to
Um,
that,
because it
24.
was built, the school was occupied in what, 98?
Yeah. Yeah, we moved in town in 96. And they just started building this almost kind of 2 years.
Yeah,
ago.
because it
Yeah.
was about 2000 when we came in here.
so 98 to 08.
Make it 23 years.
Yeah. So there was talk about, can we make it to the,
And they've repaired the library roof like 2 or 3 different times,
yeah,
but they keep getting mold.
yeah. There were some like soffits that were icky and some paint that needed to be repaired. And then there was questions with the facilities. Steve, maybe, who's head of facilities at BMS,
Okay,
about whether or not some of that stuff was, paint for $50,000. And they were like, can you paint that for 50? And he was like, oh yeah, it's like paint a pole. This, paint is peeling from this pole.
And
So
little
some of the,
cracks and paint and stuff like that. It should not cost too much money.
yeah, no, so it was a frightening report, but it's really not a
Yeah.
frightening report.
well, right
Yeah.
now I'm dealing with the Sue Henry, trying to get it worked out as to how the school committee can go about making sure they meet the guidelines for them to be on the state ballot next November. They missed the last one.
What does that mean on the state ballot?
The regional school, when we accepted the region, the full region, they are gonna be on, they're not on the town election ballot anymore.
Oh,
They will be on the state
State.
election every other state election.
yeah.
They'll rotate that way. But they missed the first one, so they have to get this one right.
Okay. Does that mean they have does that mean none of them continued as committee members, or does that mean that,
Yeah.
okay, it's a
Um,
gray area?
I mean, if somebody resigns, then you do an appointment,
Yeah,
but they want to get back onto what it should be.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Is it true that cost per pupil in this town is $22,000?
It could be.
It is incredibly high.
And well, part of I can explain some of that because I was on the school committee.
Yeah. I know this is out of the agenda, but
Oh, maybe you should shut off the thing. That's because Boylston Elementary, if you look at their numbers, are cheaper than us, but that's because they can spread their superintendent's office costs over, say, 300 heads versus we split the cost 50-50, and we have to spread it over 200 kids.
something is wrong with that calculation. And it's very expensive. Do we, or maybe the problem is also, do kids go into charter schools and we have to pay them? How many kids actually get
We
out?
do have children in charter schools, but the state pays that directly. We also have kids that go to, a private school, a public school, they're homeschooled.
But we have to pay them, right? Because the money
We,
follows the pupil, doesn't it? I think.
except for charter schools, because charter schools was gonna be such a burden to the other, have such an impact on the regular schools. But that was the initial plan.
Also, if you calculate, like what they did from town report, I was shocked.
Well, go
Number-
on the school committee.
Now, number of pupils versus how many employees, the ratio is out of whack.
Meaning that there are not enough teachers for the pupils?
No, too many. No, not just teachers, employees, the people. Yeah, the one thing is when your teacher actually sitting and teaching, you have about this, all the support staff. So I think it's about one employee per 5 or 6 kids. That ratio is,
Oh, well, special ed has its own rules and regulations.
Yeah.
And like kindergarten, the maximum you can have in any one kindergarten is 25.
yeah, which is okay.
So if we have to have two,
But how many teachers actually sit in the classroom? How many are for that 25? You don't have one teacher, you have probably 2 or 3.
they might have one teacher for 25 kids, but then they might have 1 or 2 aides, depending on if you have
Yeah,
a special needs kid in the classroom
I know.
who needs, an aide to focus them or whatever.
And I compared it to my grammar school.
I know.
No.
When I
Ah,
went to
I
school,
should,
there
I
were
know.
like 50 kids in the classroom.
I know.
And if they ever called my father, we were dead.
I
He was to
know.
say something nice, but it's a different world out there.
I know.
It is. So any more capital planning issues?
No.
Nope. You make
No,
'em-
I really wondered what we were doing tonight.
we're here to support each other. And meet in person and
Meet in
decide that we're
person.
gonna start, and recreation committee really is the only thing I had.
Okay,
So somebody needs to make a motion to adjourn.
so
Mo-
moved.
Oh, go ahead.
Second,
Motion to. end the meeting.
So we're gonna adjourn whatever time it is. It is
Yeah, we gotta
8:01.
go.
Look at that. We made it exactly an hour, 7:01 to 8:01.